So just yesterday, ESPN updated their rankings for each graduating high school class. And within this update, the most notable change that people seem to even care about is the fact that Mikey Williams, who used to be ranked 3rd overall, has dropped to the 5th overall in the class of 2023, as two guys by the names of Matt Bewley and Bay Fall have passed him up. And although he really only dropped 2 places, which really should not be that big of a deal, but this is being seen as a big deal because, for one, Mikey's more well known and has a bigger following than most other top recruits, so a lot of people care. And then also because a couple months back, when their first rankings were released for the class of 2023, Mikey let it be known that he sees himself as the best in the class, and even called out DJ Wagner, who was ranked number 1 back then and is still ranked number 1. So yeah, for him to have done that and now have fallen in the ranks after transferring to play good competition, it is not too good of a look for him right now. You can say that even if you are a Mikey fan. And in today's video, we're going to look at why his rank is falling, but we're also going to look at Matt Bewley and how good he is, because he used to be ranked 9th overall, so he definitely took a pretty big leap to now be ranked 3rd overall. And right now, it seems like people only care that Mikey fell and are not too interested in checking out the new guys that ESPN feels earned better rankings, which is not right. You gotta give these new guys their credit. So that is exactly what I'm finna do. But before I go any further, what's good YouTube? Plug Speaks back with a vid. If you are new, subscribe. If these new rankings surprised you at all, which I know it did, sub up. I'm posting quality basketball content 2 to 3 times a week, and we grinding the 2K subs and beyond right now, so I'd for sure appreciate it. But back to the video. Alright, so believe me, I want to give Matt Bewley his credit off the jump, but first of all, we have to address why did Mikey's rank drop, because it's not like he's been playing terribly, and he's even been playing against much better competition than he was at San Ysidro last year, because remember, when he received the 3rd overall rank a couple months back after averaging an explosive 30 points per game, 5 assists, and 6.7 rebounds, many people were surprised that he was not number 1, including me, but then people understood after word spread that the competition DJ Wagner faces makes the competition at San Ysidro look like a complete joke. So what did Mikey try to do to try and make up this difference? He transferred schools. And I know the primary reason for him transferring was because the basketball season in California was postponed with no clear return due to COVID, but based on the teams Mikey has played so far now that he is at Lake Norman Christian, the higher level of comp was for sure one of the reasons that he transferred. You cannot even question that. But yeah, does anybody else see the irony that one of the greatest knocks against Mikey last year has turned into probably the best argument you can make in his defense this year? And I say this because although his inconsistent play has caused his rank to fall 2 spots, Lake Norman Christian has faced some of the best competition at the high school level all year. Like most great teams you could think of, he's played. Come on now. Just to name a few, just name them off. Minnehaha Academy led by Chet Holmgren, the number 1 recruit in the nation. Sunrise Christian led by Kendall Brown. The Burlington School, Oak Hill Academy. I mean, the list goes on. And in some of these games, he's gone off and had a solid performance, like 40 against the Burlington School and his 20-plus point outing against Oak Hill. But unfortunately, he's played less than what a player ranked 3rd in the nation should play like in most of these games. For example, he lost both of the 2 nationally televised games Lake Norman had this year, and one of them was in blowout fashion. So yeah, it seems like those who are behind the rankings for each class saw this and just felt as though Mikey was no longer performing well enough to keep a top 3 player rank for his class. And personally, as of right now, I'm not sure if I agree with this new ranking just yet. I mean, I'm still really learning about Matt Bewley as I inform y'all about him, but just in some quick defense of Mikey, the number 1 ranked player of his class, DJ Wagner, has been unable to play any out-of-state teams this year due to COVID. And as a result, the competition he's been playing is not as good as it probably could be. And I would most likely be correct to assume that Mikey has played better comp than he has this year. So basically, I just find it weird to penalize Mikey last year when he had great numbers against subpar comp, but then again sort of penalize him now when he's putting up nice numbers but at a more inconsistent rate, since, I don't know, he's facing better comp than most other top recruits in the nation. Y'all let me know what y'all think down below. That's not to say that DJ Wagner does not deserve the number 1 spot, because we know he's very good and cold. I just feel that's an important point to make. But moving on, let's get into the real focus in all of this, or at least the guy that should be seen as the focus right now, and that's Matt Bewley. So yeah, I briefly mentioned it earlier. He literally went from being ranked 9th overall to being ranked 3rd in the nation. So clearly, he's been putting in work, and you love to start to see the work start to show. Anyway, this guy is a 6'9" power forward listed at 200 pounds who plays for West Oaks Academy in the state of Florida. And his game consists of a lot of physicality. And off of first impression after watching his highlights, if I had to compare him to a well-known NBA star, I'd say he compares to a younger Giannis. I mean, not only is his 6'9" height close to Giannis, but he is also not very bulky in terms of his frame. But he does not let that get in the way of him being effective at all. And I'm not about to break down his complete game. If I do, that'll be another video, but just to briefly go over it. He dominates offensively by slashing into the paint, being explosive, and just finishing with contact on a layup or just jamming in a dunk. And he does not seem to have a tight handle at all, which is pretty common for players this tall, but he can still dribble, as some plays feature him coming down the court and heading right for the rim without anybody's help. Plus, he seems to even have somewhat of an outside shot. Like, if the perimeter shot is open and there, he will sometimes just take it and knock it down, which you love to see in these tall players, because the situation with Ben Simmons being an NBA pro and scared to take threes, now that's a tragedy. But yeah, he is capable of dominating offensively, but a great bonus to his overall game as a player is that he plays defense, which I know is expected when you're blessed to be that tall physically, but come on now. The reality is that not all players that are capable of playing some good solid defense actually play it. But yeah, in a couple games covered by Max Preps, he averaged 2.5 blocks, which is pretty impressive. And I mean, you can tell he is present on the defensive end from his highlights as well. This guy will not just let opposing guards come into the paint thinking it's sweet. You're gonna get your stuff swatted. But yeah, as far as this guy's overall stats, I did my research, I did some digging, and there's no clear history for what he averaged in his freshman season overall. However, I did find a couple numbers that serve to make this guy seem all the more impressive. For one, last season during a 4-game stretch in an event called the Power 24, Bewley averaged about 16 points, 10 rebounds, 1.5 steals, and 1.5 blocks. So yeah, he's for sure present on the defensive side of the ball, just as he is on the offensive. And I'm not sure what the level of comp was like at this event, but just off general past knowledge, events like these tend to feature a lot of competitive schools with D1 recruits, so that's enough right there. Like, they do not just let a bunch of bummy teams come to these events. Come on now. Anyway, another stat line that is much more recent actually presents itself in an annual basketball event in the Orlando area called the Winter Rotary Tip-Off Classic. And during this event, he had a game in which he scored 26 points and grabbed 14 rebounds to lead his team in a 66-55 win against Tennessee Prep. So yeah, that is just further evidence of what this guy is capable of. And it's really not that hard to see why ESPN has boosted his rank so highly, since he is 6'9" while just a sophomore. And the fact that he's so dominant offensively and also shows up on the defensive end makes his potential all the more wild, I cannot lie. But just like I said about DJ Wagner, the man's stats would probably look a little different if he were facing the same comp Mikey is right now. That's just something to think about. And then on top of that, being 6'9" in high school is not at all common, so he's taller than most of his opponents right now anyway. And so watching his progression to higher levels of basketball will definitely be something to look out for. But as far as whether or not he is deserving of the number 3 spot, who am I really to say he's not? Plus, Mikey is not making it that easy to defend him, since he's been so inconsistent and at times does not show effort on defense. But yeah, I'm fixing to wrap this video up. Like I said, I hope and honestly expect Mikey to bounce back. Whether that means getting 3rd place back or not, I just believe he will be playing better, probably much better. But maybe that's the Mikey fan in me. I do live in North Carolina, but again, that's pretty much it for me. I appreciate y'all watching, man. Make sure to like the sub if new, share, all of that, and I'm out.